Now, after the first two matches of Dilip Trophy, I can confidently say that some batters need to look at themselves in the mirror and talk about the importance of leaving the ball. With the test match starting in a couple of days, the Indian team needs to do the same thing. Now, keeping that in mind, let's go back 20 years when one of the greatest batsmen this game has seen played one of the most incredible innings for so many reasons. Now, of course, we're talking about Sachin Tendulkar, and to pick one test innings and call it incredible is very, very difficult when it comes to this man. But we're going to talk about the 241 not out against Australia in 2004 that made a lot of people realize that he truly is the GOAT of the game. Now, let's talk about what's at stake before we talk about the innings and why that was so important and why that was once in a lifetime kind of an innings. Now, Sachin Tendulkar being the number 4 batter, it's very important for him to get runs for the team. Now, Virat Kohli, Joe Root, Steve Smith, all of these guys are the best batters in the world, and all of them batted number 4 in red ball cricket. And it is for a reason. If you want a video for that, and if you want more videos like this, like, share, and subscribe, all that good stuff, and comment down below. But yes, talking about Sachin Tendulkar himself, every time he walked into the field, there was a lot of pressure. Everyone wanted him to score. So many people just relied on him to score for the Indian team. And for a lot of years, it was like that. So let's talk about what's at stake before he walks into this match. Before this 241, it had been 13 innings since he scored 100. And in these 13 innings, he averaged 19.4, which is horrible for any kind of batsman. And in that test series alone, he scored that 241 in the first innings of the fourth test match. Before that, he only averaged 16.4. Back in 2003, when Sachin Tendulkar had this slump of form, the Sunday Morning Herald had this headline published: Sachin's form slump, the worst of his career, which is true. And they went on to write about Sachin's stat and how he's not able to score those runs and how he's getting out. But yeah, so many things at stake. This was also the series where you were going into the fourth test match with score 1-all, and this was in Australia. Remember that. Beating Australia or even thinking of drawing test series in Australia was such a big deal for India back then. So there were so many things on the line. Now, why was this 241 not out special? It was special because few innings prior to that, especially in Melbourne, the third test match, he got out in the both innings playing the cover drive. Now, we all know Sachin loves his drives. He's known for his straight drives and non-drives, but he was a very, very special cover driver. Except for whatever reason in this series, he was getting out to the cover drive. So the 241 not out, he faced 436 balls. He had no cover drive whatsoever. He did not play one of his most favorite shots, a shot that got him so many runs throughout his career. Before we get into more of that, let's talk about what was wrong in his cover drive in the first place. So these are the two dismissals in which Sachin Tendulkar gets out playing the cover drive. In the second clip, there might be text over it, but it's how he's gotten out playing the cover drive. Now, it's important to understand that Sachin Tendulkar as a batsman is short, and so for him to reach the pitch of the ball all the time wouldn't necessarily be possible because he doesn't have a big stride. He can't take his feet a lot further as compared to taller batsmen, which is also why a lot of his cover drive you would see him play the ball on the up. Now, what does on the up mean? On the up basically means when a batter doesn't necessarily reach the pitch of the ball and plays the shot a little after the ball has pitched and bounced. So you're playing the shot after the ball has pitched and a little further after that. So you haven't reached the pitch of the ball. You're playing the ball on the rise of the ball. That's another way of putting it. Now, so Sachin Tendulkar, a lot of his cover drives, you would see this happen, especially when the ball was in the good length area. He wouldn't necessarily reach the pitch of the ball because his stride wouldn't allow him to. So he would play the ball on the up, which is completely fine on pitches that doesn't swing and seam, because in England, when you try playing it on the up, you're more often than not going to get the edge. But in Australia, when the ball wasn't necessarily doing much, it skids on. Of course, pitches in Australia, the ball skids on, has a lot of bounce and all of that. Keeping that in mind, it's okay to play the ball on the up on pitches like Australia. But Sachin Tendulkar, while playing this cover drive, he had a bit of a technical issue. Now, if I pause it right here, I'm going to compare this cover drive to another cover drive that he played in Australia. I'm going to compare this. So we saw the dismissal, and this is him playing a fantastic cover drive to Mitchell Johnson. Let's break it down and talk about the differences, and let's talk about what may have gone wrong in 2003 versus what he did right in 2008. Now, mind you, both the cover drives, he's playing it on the up, except in 2003, you can see that he doesn't lean towards the ball. It's important to get your head towards the ball, so that because not only are you closer to the ball, but you can play it along the ground. Now, if you just let your hands go and let your hands meet the ball, you're again not in full control, and you will probably get an edge on pitches, especially like Australia, where the ball bounces and skids on. Especially on pitches like Australia, which are fast paced. Now, if you compare this to 2008, look how much more he's bending down. Look how much more he's lower to the ground. His head is towards the ball, unlike in 2003 where his head is almost at the crease. Of course, the two angles are different. Keeping all of this in mind, just look at the height difference. Sachin Tendulkar standing tall hasn't reached the line of the ball because he's playing it on the up, so you can't necessarily reach the pitch of the ball. So he's trying to reach the line of the ball, except he's almost very erect, throwing his hands at it, gets an edge and gets out. But if you look at him in 2008 against Mitchell Johnson, again, doesn't have the biggest of strides because it's good. The ball is pitching in good length. He's playing it on the up. But if you look at how low he's to the ground, how his head is towards the ball. And of course, there's a little bit of throwing the bat here too, but that's also because he doesn't have the biggest stride in the world of cricket. But it's just the fact that there's so much body weight going towards the ball in 2008 as compared to the body weight going towards the ball in 2003. Again, this is just completely him throwing his hands at the ball and hoping that the ball, unlike in 2008 where he's leaning towards the ball, there's so much body weight going towards the ball. Now, a batter like Sachin Tendulkar is technically so sound that these small errors, especially in the international circuit, make such a big difference. Also, it was very, very interesting to see a batter like him do this. Now, continuing the story of the 241 not out. So the two dismissals that you saw were in Melbourne. Both the innings, he gets out playing the cover drive. Before the 4th test match starts, he decides that he's not going to play the cover drive. He walks into bat. The Australian team sets the field, setting him up to play the cover drive, setting him up to fetch the ball outside off, throw his hands at it once again to get him out. Except Sachin had a whole different thing planned altogether. His entire innings, he goes without playing the cover drive, and that is so difficult to do as a batter, because for a batter like him who's played international cricket since he was 16, for him a shot like a cover drive would be such an automatic shot to play. It's such an instinctive shot as any batter. If you're someone playing at the gullies, if you're someone just having a net, if you're someone playing corporate cricket on the weekend, you would know that throwing a bat at the ball outside off is such a common practice. It's so easy to do. It's such an instinctive thing. For him not to do that, it would take him to remind himself that any ball outside off, he needs to leave it. For him to know where his off stump is, he would need to stand so still before the bowler bowls so that he knows where his off stump is. He knows which ball to leave and what not to leave. He would have to remind himself to not play the cover drive, because for so many years he's just been doing that and always almost got runs with it. For him to do all of this in a couple of days, for him to come on the first innings of the Melbourne test match to play over 400 balls to not play a cover drive is one of the biggest personal achievement a batter can feel. To come sit inside the dressing room, know that you've defeated not only the opponent, you have defeated your instincts, which is something so rare to see in sports or just everyday life. This is Joy Bhattacharya's tweet 4 years ago talking about, was at the SCG in 2004 and learned one of the great lessons in sport. Greatness is not just what you're capable of doing, it's also what you can stop yourself from doing when the occasion demands it. Sachin's 241 at Sydney without a single cover drive. This is the wagon wheel of his fours. Not a single cover drive. It's just magnificent to see a batter like Sachin, who at that point was one of the best already, who had nothing necessarily to prove as such, had scored runs all over until that point, was in a bit of a slump, and does something which so many modern day batsmen struggle to do, and that is leave the ball. And that is the lesson that I want you to take from this video. That is the lesson I want you to notice from when the test matches begin. How many batters fetch the ball outside off and give their wicket away responsibly, irresponsibly. Could be a good ball, could be a bad ball, and the batter could just throw his hands at it and get out. I want you guys to notice all of this. I want you guys to tell us if you have noticed all of this. If you want more videos like this, like, share and subscribe, all that good stuff. We have videos every Tuesday and Friday, and also we'll be doing lives after every single day of the first test match between India and Bangladesh. The second the day gets over, we're going to do a 20-30 minutes live, talk about points. It's going to be crisp, it's going to be sharp. We're going to have segments. You guys can ask us questions and we'll answer it right away on that live. So yeah, so much more to come, so much cricket to come. Watch out for more videos. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.